I was talking about this with a friend earlier, and we were talking about being an artist and creating in the artistic space and kind of having the attitude of accepting yourself as an artist and the insecurities of that and the anxieties of that. And it was so clear to me, talking about it with him, that I had to make this video. To hear him say many things I have felt about my own art, about, do I have the right to call myself an artist? Do I have the right to be a filmmaker? And to say that I'm a filmmaker and think that of myself and feel that of myself, and the inherent embarrassment in that and the insecurities that it triggers. And also further ideas of that when you finally do try to make your first art and how awkward and terrible and critical you get of yourself with it. And I've had a lot of those thoughts and arguments in my own head of why I shouldn't post. It's not the perfect thing, it's not the right way I'm trying to say it, it comes out awkward and not as I imagined it. But then to hear him say it and him mirror these things that I've felt and know in my heart of hearts that of course he should create art, that of course my friend should keep producing and go against those critical voices in the head that tell you not to. And for that to be so clear, for me to see him do that and want him to do that, I had to live by my own words. It has to do with the anxiety of being an artist. I really think is more to do with the anxiety of being a self, of saying, yeah, I am this. We're raised in a culture that uses shame to teach. In the very specific way of that if you make a mistake, and maybe not philosophically is what I'm trying to say, but more that if you make a mistake, the voice, the tone in the voice, the behavior, don't do that, that's bad, that's wrong, you're naughty, these concepts that we don't really think about as a society. We don't really think through. It's like, oh, I didn't mean that, I just wanted to correct the person. And correction is necessary as instruction. But the actual emotion of shame, of making people feel bad about themselves for the mistakes they make, is wrong. Not just morally and emotionally, and we'll get to that, but also just logically and rationally. The emotion of shame is painful. So when you associate your mistakes with pain, you don't want to remember them, because the actual act of remembering the mistake invokes pain, and therefore you automatically suppress it. And you hate yourself for it, which becomes this whole giant convoluted thing. So teaching people to be ashamed of their mistakes actually doesn't teach them how to be better people or encourages them to remember their mistakes so that they can learn from them. It actually does the opposite. It makes them ashamed of it and not be able to remember it, so then makes them suffer pain to a traumatizing degree that they get frozen, and then they'll just keep making that mistake over and over again, and it becomes a self-perpetuating loop that just makes it worse and worse and worse. And shame to the point can be explosive, because it feels unsolvable. And I speak more for this from my own experience of when I feel ashamed of myself and my mistakes, it feels like there's no solution. And not even if there's a solution, that even if there is one, I don't deserve to have it. And that's what really comes down to, is that I do deserve to feel good about myself as a person. I do deserve to not be encumbered by my mistakes and not have that define me. I mean, not to say that mistakes are wrong or shameful, but we'll get to that. But just that I am not one action. I am not one sentiment, one experience, one choice. I am the collection of all my choices. And I know for myself personally, when I think of my mistakes, when I think of my flaws, especially in school, I had a hard time in school because I didn't fit the model that of the way that they taught. I had dyslexia, ADHD, I mean, I didn't know this at the time, but PTSD, anxiety, depression, all sorts of slew of issues, but, things that weren't understood well back then. And so I was considered the rambunctious kid, the disrespectful kid, the kid who was clearly intelligent but didn't want to work because he was lazy, because he was selfish, because he was shameful. And for me, schooling was extremely painful. And the whole process of learning, which is what our society is built on, that if you are to go off and do anything, if you are to have the confidence in yourself to do anything, you need to believe you are capable of it, that you deserve to do it. But I didn't have that kind of understanding. I didn't have that kind of upbringing. Most teachers were only interested in punishing my behavior instead of actually taking time to understand why that behavior was happening. What can I do to change that behavior? What can I do to help this child? Again, not entirely solely the cause or fault of the person. I'm not interested in blame. Also, they live in a society that teaches that, and a system that doesn't allow them to offer and have access to different ways of teaching. Anyways, going back. And so when I think of my own mistakes and how I feel about shame, it feels all-consuming. I make one mistake and I feel like that's who I am. That no matter what else I do, no matter what else I try, no matter what else I've done and proven to myself and others, and what others show me and about myself, then none of that matters. The only thing that matters is the one time I made the mistake and deserve to suffer for an eternity because of that. That's the effect it has on a person, on a child, that it freezes you. It doesn't let you move forward. And this is wrong. I stick to the logic of it for the most part because that's what helped me in my growth and my mindset. My emotions were all over the place, so I used logic and rationale to help explain myself, get out of that. But yeah, it's wrong to hurt people. It's wrong to make them feel like they deserve to feel hurt. It's wrong to make them feel like they deserve to be hated for their mistakes, for what they are, because that's ultimately what our mistakes are. We are our mistakes, not only, but that's what we build on. Mistakes are how we learn. They're how we move forward. It's how nature learns. Nature is just a long string of trial and error. And to say nature, which by the way is also reality itself, those two words are the same. To say reality itself and it's like, no, you're not that. Don't do that. Stop that. You are not that. It's self-negating. Self-negating freezes you, stops you from growing forward. So the idea that we teach each other with shame is illogical. It's a paradox. Shame doesn't teach. The only thing shame teaches is that you deserve to hurt yourself and hate yourself, and it teaches you that you should hate yourself and that you deserve to suffer. And that's it. It's an end point. There's no coming out of that. I mean, there's coming out of that by, reversing that philosophy and ethos, but it doesn't move you forward. So as a teaching mechanism, it does not work. Punishment does not work. Especially, there's wiggle room there, obviously, and maybe I'm not thinking certain of all things, but I feel that fundamentally. When I have been successful in life, when I have been able to move past obstacles I've never even dreamed of moving past, was when I believed that I deserved to make mistakes, and that I deserved to be here, and that I deserved to express myself and to not have all the answers, and to be an ugly, gross, messy human with emotions and thoughts and fears and angers and all the ugly things that we're taught not to want to do to ourselves. Or, yeah, you know what I mean. So if there's anything I could share with this world, it would be that your mistakes aren't hateful, and they are quite the opposite. They are lovable, because your mistakes are proof that you tried to do something different, that you tried to do something new, that you tried to be better. You should honor your mistakes. You should cherish them. Mistakes are a child wanting to explore the world for the first time. And there's no shame in being a child. It's what it is. It's what you are. There's no shame in being human. To feel that stunts you, stops you. It's simply a denial of reality itself. We are here to make mistakes. We are here to be flawed and imperfect, and that is so infinitely beautiful. So in that vein, I'm gonna post my first video. Thanks for watching.